The train set hit the floor before I could breathe. Metal wheels scattered across hardwood in every direction. One of the cars split clean open, spilling tiny gears that had survived 70 years. The sound echoed through my dining room like a gunshot. Everyone froze. My son Beckett, his wife Sloane, my grandson Callum, even the neighbors I'd invited for Christmas dinner stopped mid-chew. Sloane stood over the wreckage, holding the tissue paper in her manicured hands, her lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. This? Her voice dripped with mock concern. This is what you got him? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Cheap junk. She looked around the table, making sure everyone heard. Just like you, useless mother-in-law. Hi, viewers. Kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. The words hung in the air like smoke. My neighbor Helen gasped. My sister Pauline dropped her fork. Callum's bottom lip trembled as he stared at the broken pieces of the antique train set I'd spent 3 days carefully restoring. The same train set my father gave me in 1957, the one I'd promised myself would go to my grandson when he was old enough to appreciate it. Beckett stared at his plate, said nothing, did nothing. Sloane brushed her hands together, dismissing 73 years of family history like crumbs. Anyway, dinner smells amazing. What are we having? She sat back down, picked up her wine glass, the wine I'd bought, with money from my pension, my fixed income that I'd stretched thin to make this Christmas perfect. I stood very still. My hands gripped the edge of the table so hard my knuckles went white. The room spun slightly, too bright, too loud. The faces around my table blurred together. Miriam? Helen touched my arm. Are you okay? Fine. The word came out strangled. I'm fine. I wasn't fine. I was 73 years old, widowed for 3 years, and I'd just been humiliated in front of my entire family by the woman I'd given everything to. The woman who wore the cashmere coat I bought her, who drove the BMW I leased in my name, who lived in a townhouse I helped finance, who'd charged over $200,000 on the credit card I'd stupidly, desperately given her. $247,000 to be exact. I excused myself, walked to my bedroom on shaking legs, closed the door, locked it, leaned against the cool wood, and tried to remember how to breathe. My reflection stared back from the mirror above my dresser, gray hair I'd carefully styled this morning. The green sweater Harlan always said matched my eyes. Lipstick I'd applied with a steady hand back when I thought today would be special. Back when I believed family still meant something. I looked old, tired, used up. The safe sat in my closet behind Harlan's old suits, the ones I couldn't bear to donate. The ones that still smelled like his cologne if I pressed my face into them and pretended hard enough. I spun the combination, my wedding anniversary, 04/15/78. The day I married the only man who ever made me feel valuable. The safe opened with a soft click. Financial documents filled the top shelf. 3 years of statements I'd been avoiding. 3 years of watching my retirement savings disappear into Sloane's designer purses and luxury vacations and emergency expenses that were never really emergencies. I pulled out the folder, sat on the edge of my bed, started reading. Credit card statement, January 2022. Sloane added as authorized user. First charge, $2,000 at Nordstrom. Note in margin, my handwriting, for job interviews. I flipped through the pages. Each month got worse. Spa days, jewelry, furniture. A vacation to Hawaii I wasn't invited on. Callum's private swim lessons at the country club. Designer clothes for a toddler who'd outgrow them in 3 months. The BMW lease agreement. Monthly payment, $875. Co-signer, Miriam Thorne. Primary driver, Sloane Thorne. Duration, 4 years. 2 years remaining. The townhouse documents. Down payment, $40,000. Source, gift from Miriam Thorne. Harlan's life insurance money. The money he made me promise to save. To protect myself with. To live comfortably on after he was gone. I'd broken that promise inside 6 months of meeting Sloane. Beckett's voice carried down the hallway, laughing, probably at something Sloane said. He'd always laughed at her jokes, even the cruel ones, even the ones at my expense. When had my son become a stranger? I remembered him at Callum's age, gap-toothed and wild-haired, bringing me dandelions from the yard like they were roses, crying when his pet hamster died and letting me hold him for hours, telling me I was his best friend, his favorite person. That boy was gone, replaced by a man who watched his wife destroy his mother's gift and said nothing. The folder felt heavy in my lap. 3 years of evidence, 3 years of being used, 3 years of mistaking my generosity for weakness. My phone buzzed, text from Sloan. BTW forgot to mention, putting Callum in Montessori next fall, 40 quadric a year. You'll cover it, right? He deserves the best. $40,000 for preschool, while I bought generic groceries and skipped my medications to save money. While I wore the same coat for 5 winters and told myself it didn't matter. While I gave and gave and gave until there was almost nothing left of me. Not anymore. I opened my contacts, found my bank's customer service number, pressed call. The phone rang 3 times. First National Bank, this is Trevor. How can I help you today? My voice came out calm, steady, cold as the December snow falling outside my window. I need to cancel a credit card. 3 years ago, Sloan walked into my life like an answered prayer. Young, beautiful, warm. Everything I'd hoped Beckett would find after his disaster of a first engagement. She worked in marketing, made decent money, had her own apartment and car and life. She didn't need me. That's what I thought. The wedding was small, my backyard in June, flowers from my garden, cake I stayed up all night baking. Sloan cried during the vows and called me mom and said she'd never had a family like ours. Said her own mother was cold, distant, that she'd dreamed of having a mother-in-law who actually cared. I believed every word. 2 months later, she lost her job. Budget cuts, she said. Nothing personal. She'd been applying everywhere, but the market was tough. Could we help? Just temporarily. Just until she landed something new. I gave her $5,000, told her not to worry. These things happened. She'd bounce back. She bounced back 3 weeks later. New job, better pay. Took me to lunch to celebrate and thanked me 1,000 times. Promised she'd pay me back. Every penny. I told her to forget it. Family didn't keep score. That was my first mistake. 6 months later, the car died. Her old Honda. Transmission gone. Repair estimate $4,000. More than the car was worth. She showed up at my door crying. She needed reliable transportation for work, for Callum's daycare drop-offs, for emergencies. She'd been looking at used cars, but everything in her price range was a risk. Beckett called me that night, asked if I could help. Just this once. They'd pay me back. He had a promotion coming. They'd be fine soon. I co-signed the BMW lease. That was my second mistake. The requests kept coming, small at first. Dinner out because she'd had a hard day. New clothes for Callum because he was growing so fast. A weekend trip to the mountains because they needed to reconnect as a family. Then bigger. The townhouse down payment. Furniture for the nursery when Callum was born. The medical bills from a complicated delivery. The credit card for emergencies. Always emergencies, always temporary, always just this once. I said yes every time. Harlan would have stopped me. He'd have seen through Sloane's tears and promises. He'd have sat me down in his quiet way and explained about boundaries, about enabling, about the difference between helping and hurting. But Harlan was gone, dead from a heart attack while mowing the lawn on a Saturday morning. 1 minute he was alive, waving at me through the kitchen window. The next he was on the ground and I was screaming for help that came too late. I was lost without him, drowning in grief, and Sloan threw me a rope. Except the rope was really a noose. By the second year, something changed. Sloan stopped pretending. The pleas and thank yous disappeared. The promises to pay me back stopped. She started treating my money like it was hers, like I owed her, like being generous once meant being generous forever. She'd text me demands, not requests, demands. Need $2,000 for new couch, transfer by Friday. Callum needs winter clothes, send $500. Our anniversary is next week. Booking spa resort, put it on the card. I always complied. Because saying no meant risking my relationship with Callum. Because Sloan made it clear, support us or lose us. Because I was terrified of being alone, of losing the only family I had left. Beckett saw everything, said nothing. When I tried to talk to him about money, he'd get defensive. Tell me Sloan was stressed. They were doing their best. I didn't understand how expensive raising a kid was nowadays. As if I hadn't raised him. As if I'd forgotten what sacrifice looked like. Last month, I finally looked at my accounts. Really looked. The retirement fund Harlan and I spent 40 years building. The emergency savings. The college fund we'd started for future grandchildren. All of it. Gone, or nearly gone. $247,000 in 3 years. Given freely. Taken eagerly. Never questioned. Never appreciated. Never enough. I'd enabled this. I knew that. I'd set myself on fire to keep them warm and wondered why I was burning. But today, Christmas Day, when Sloan dropped my father's train set on the floor and called me useless, when my son sat there and let her, when my family watched my humiliation and looked away. Today I stopped burning. I finished dessert mechanically, smiled when people talked to me, cleaned up while Sloan lounged on my couch scrolling through her phone, the phone on my family plan, another monthly charge I'd forgotten to count. They left around 8. Sloan didn't say goodbye. Beckett hugged me quickly and mumbled something about a long drive. Callum waved from his car seat, confused why Grandma's present was still in pieces on the floor. I waited until their taillights disappeared. Then I picked up every piece of the broken train set, laid them carefully on my kitchen table. Some could be fixed. Some were lost forever, like my relationship with my son. The credit card cancellation would process in 24 hours. Trevor from the bank was very understanding, very sorry for my situation, very efficient. Next call, BMW Financial Services. Yes, this was Miriam Thorne. Yes, I was the leaseholder. No, I no longer wanted the vehicle in service. When could they retrieve it? Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Someone would contact the driver to arrange return. The driver, Sloan, who had no idea what was coming. I slept better than I had in 3 years. Morning came gray and cold. I made coffee, toast, sat at my kitchen table with Harlan's old coffee mug, the one that said, "World's Best Dad." Beckett gave it to him on Father's Day 20 years ago. I wondered if Beckett remembered. Probably not. My phone rang at 8:30. Sloan. I let it go to voicemail. Rang again. Voicemail. Again, again, again. On the 6th call, I answered. What? Not a question. A statement. Did you cancel my credit card? Her voice was shrill, panicked. I tried to buy coffee and it was declined. The guy said the account was closed. Yes. Silence, then one. You can't do that. I can. I did. Beckett will be furious. Then Beckett can call me himself. I took a sip of coffee. Is there anything else? You spiteful old... She caught herself, switched tactics, started crying. Miriam, please, I'm sorry about yesterday. I was stressed. The holidays are hard. I didn't mean what I said. Yes, you did. I'll apologize to everyone. I'll call your sister, your neighbors. I'll make it right. Sloan, I set down my mug. I've given you $247,000 in 3 years. Did you know that number? Silence. $247,000. My retirement, my security, my husband's life insurance, every penny he saved to take care of me after he was gone. We needed you. You needed nothing. You wanted. There's a difference. You gave it freely. I gave it stupidly. My voice stayed calm, level. But that stops today. You can't take back gifts. The credit card wasn't a gift. It was temporary help that became permanent theft. And it's canceled. What about the BMW? What about it? I heard her breath catch. Miriam, don't. They're picking it up at 9. You have 30 minutes to remove your personal belongings. The line went dead. She'd hung up on me. Good. I poured more coffee. Waited. At 8:55, my doorbell rang. Sloan stood on my porch. No coat, no shoes, just socks and pajamas. Her hair wild, eyes red. She'd clearly run across her townhouse complex to my house. 3 blocks in December weather. You have to stop this. She pushed past me into my house. You're being cruel. Vindictive. This isn't you. You're right. I closed the door. The old me would have apologized, would have given you another chance, would have let you walk all over me while I smiled and said it was fine. Miriam, the old me is dead. You killed her yesterday when you threw my father's train set on the floor. It was an accident. It was cruelty. I met her eyes. And I'm done being your victim. Beckett will never forgive you for this. Then I'll learn to live with that too. She stared at me, really looked at me. And for the first time in 3 years, I saw something new in her face. Fear. What do you want? Her voice was small. Money? I'll pay you back every penny. I'll get a payment plan. I want you to leave my house. Miriam, now. A white truck pulled into my driveway. BMW Financial Services logo on the side. A man in a uniform got out, checked his tablet, walked toward my door. Sloane saw him through the window. Her face went white as the snow outside. You're really doing this. I really am. She ran, out my door, down my driveway. The repo man looked confused. I waved him toward the BMW parked at the curb, gave him the keys I'd had made weeks ago, just in case. He drove away in the BMW. Sloane stood in the street in her socks, watching, shaking, crying. I closed the door, locked it, went back to my coffee. My phone exploded with texts. Beckett, Sloane, Sloane's friends, even Sloane's mother, who I'd never met. I turned it off. That afternoon, Beckett showed up, pounded on my door until I opened it. His face was red, furious. What the hell is wrong with you? Hello, Beckett, would you like to come in? No, I don't want to come in. He pushed past me anyway, paced my living room like a caged animal. Sloane is hysterical, actually hysterical. Do you have any idea what you've done? Yes. She can't get to work without a car. She can buy one with her salary. The credit card was mine, in my name, for my expenses, which I've now taken back. You're punishing us. He turned on me. For what? Because Sloane had a bad day? Because she said something thoughtless? Thoughtless. I repeated the word slowly. Is that what we're calling it? She apologized. To who? Not to me. She hasn't said sorry once. She's sorry. She's devastated. She's panicking. There's a difference. Beckett ran his hands through his hair. I can't believe you're doing this. After everything we've been through. After I stayed here with you after Dad died. After I supported you. You supported me. I sat down, carefully. By that, do you mean the 2 weeks you stayed here? The 2 weeks where I cooked every meal and did your laundry and listened to you talk about how hard this was for you? That's not fair. You're right, it's not fair. None of this is fair. But I'm done caring about fair. He stared at me like I was a stranger. What happened to you? I woke up. I folded my hands in my lap. I've been asleep for 3 years, letting your wife use me, letting you enable her, pretending it was love when it was really just convenience. We love you. Do you? I looked at him, really looked. Because yesterday when Sloane called me useless, when she destroyed something precious, when she humiliated me in front of my family, you said nothing, you did nothing, you let her. I didn't know what to say. How about stop? How about that's enough? How about don't talk to my mother that way? My voice rose. How about anything except sitting there like a coward? He flinched. That's not fair. You keep saying that. What's not fair is stealing from your widowed mother. What's not fair is treating me like an ATM. What's not fair is watching someone destroy me and calling it love. Nobody destroyed you. $247,000. I stood, walked to my desk, pulled out the folder, threw it at his feet. That's what I've given you in 3 years. Every penny documented, every charge, every transfer, every time I said yes when I should have said no. He picked up the folder, started reading. His face went pale. I didn't know it was this much. Yes, you did. You just didn't want to admit it. We'll pay you back. With what? Your salary that barely covers your mortgage? Sloane's income that goes to designer purses and spa days? We'll figure it out. I don't want your money. I took the folder back. I want you to leave. I want you to go home. I want you to look at your wife and decide who you married, a partner or a parasite. Don't call her that. Then what should I call someone who takes everything and gives nothing? Who uses people until they're empty? Who treats kindness like weakness? He had no answer. Get out. I walked to the door, opened it. And don't come back until you find your spine. He left, slammed the door so hard my pictures rattled. I stood in my empty house and cried for the first time in 3 years. Not sad tears, angry tears, relieved tears, the kind that wash clean instead of drowning. My phone stayed off for 2 days. When I finally turned it back on, there were 63 missed calls, 47 texts, 3 voicemails, none from Beckett. That hurt worse than anything Sloane had done. But it also told me everything I needed to know. My son had made his choice, and it wasn't me. I started to think that maybe this was how it ended. Maybe I'd lost my family by refusing to be their victim. Maybe that was the price of self-respect. Then someone knocked on my door, not pounding, gentle, polite. I looked through the peephole, a woman I didn't recognize, older, gray hair like mine, tired eyes. She held Callum's hand. I opened the door slowly. Can I help you? Hi, Miriam. I'm Darla, Sloane's mother. She had a soft voice, sad. Can we come in? I think we need to talk. Darla sat in my living room drinking tea I'd made from the expensive tin Sloane gave me last Christmas. Store-bought, not homemade. I noticed everything now, every little way I'd been dismissed. Callum played on the floor with wooden blocks, my wooden blocks. The ones I'd bought at a craft fair 40 years ago, the ones Beckett played with as a child. Sloane had called them outdated, suggested I buy Callum iPads and educational tablets instead. I owe you an apology, Darla said quietly. I should have warned you about Sloane, about what she's like. What she's like? She wasn't always this way, or maybe she was, and I didn't want to see it. Darla set down her cup. Her father spoiled her, gave her everything, never made her work for anything. I tried to teach her differently, but he'd undermine me. Say I was being too hard on her. What happened to him? Died 10 years ago. Heart attack. Left us with nothing. She laughed bitterly. Turns out he spent everything keeping up appearances. The nice house, the new cars, the country club. All debt. I had to sell everything. Move into a small apartment. Get a job at 65. I thought about Harlan's careful planning. His spreadsheets, his retirement accounts that he protected and grew for 40 years, how he'd made me promise to be careful with money. Sloane never forgave me, Darla continued. She blamed me for losing the lifestyle. Said I should have worked harder, should have been smarter, should have been more like her friends' mothers who had money. That's cruel. That's Sloane. She looked at Callum, making sure he wasn't listening. He wasn't, lost in his world of blocks. She met Beckett and saw an opportunity. You had money, a house, savings, everything she thought she deserved. My stomach dropped. You're saying she married him for Tide? No, I think she loved him, loves him, in her way to us. But love and using someone aren't mutually exclusive. Not for Sloane. Darla met my eyes. I tried to warn Beckett before the wedding, called him, took him to coffee, told him to be careful with finances. He thought I was being bitter, thought I was jealous. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm ashamed. Her voice broke. I raised her, I failed her, and now she's hurting good people, people who don't deserve it. She wiped her eyes. Yesterday she called me, screaming, saying you'd ruined her life, cut her off, left her with nothing. I took back what was mine. I know, and you should have. Darla pulled an envelope from her purse. These are bank statements, Sloane's accounts, her actual accounts, not the ones she showed Beckett. I opened the envelope, scanned the papers. My blood went cold. Savings account. Balance $87,000. Investment account. Balance $42,000. She's been lying, I whispered. About everything. About needing help. Yes, she makes good money. Beckett makes good money. They're not struggling. They're not desperate. They're just greedy. Darla's hands shook. And I let it happen. Because she's my daughter and I didn't want to lose her. But watching what she did to you, what she said to you, I can't stay silent anymore. Does Beckett know? I don't think so. She handles the finances. Tells him they're barely scraping by, that your help is keeping them afloat. I thought about Beckett's face yesterday. His genuine confusion about the total. Maybe he really didn't know. Maybe he'd been manipulated too. Or maybe he'd chosen not to see. Chosen to believe Sloane because it was easier than confronting the truth. There's something else, Darla said. Sloane's talking to a lawyer. She wants to sue you. For what? Elder financial abuse. She's going to claim you manipulated them, made promises, then reneged out of spite. She thinks she can get the money back. Maybe more. I stood up, walked to the window. Outside, snow fell in lazy spirals. The world looked clean, pure. Nothing like the mess inside my house. Can she do that? With a good enough lawyer, maybe. The system sometimes sides with younger family members, assumes the elderly are vulnerable, easily manipulated. Darla joined me at the window. She's also threatening to cut off your access to Callum, says you're unstable, vindictive, not safe to be around. I looked at my grandson, playing with blocks, innocent, unaware his mother was using him as a weapon. What do I do? Fight. Darla squeezed my hand. Document everything. Get your own lawyer. Show them what she is. What she's done. She paused. I'll testify if you need me. I'll tell them about the bank accounts, the lying, all of it. She's your daughter. And you're a good woman who doesn't deserve this. Sometimes we have to choose what's right over what's easy. After they left, I called my lawyer, Patricia, a woman Harlan worked with for 30 years, someone I trusted. She listened to everything, asked questions, took notes. Then she said, Miriam, this is good, better than good. You have documentation. You have witnesses. You have proof that every cent was freely given. No coercion, no confusion. And if Sloane's own mother is willing to testify about the hidden accounts, she has no case. She's threatening to take away Callum. Let her try. A judge will see through it. You're not unstable. You're not vindictive. You're a grandmother who got tired of being used. That's not abuse, that's self-preservation. What happens now? Now, we prepare, we document everything, every text, every transaction, every witness who saw her behavior. And when she files her frivolous lawsuit, we'll be ready. Will it go to court? Probably mediation first. But Miriam, I don't think it'll get that far. Once Sloane realizes we have proof of her financial lies, she'll back down. Bullies usually do when someone stands up to them. I hoped Patricia was right, but hope felt dangerous now, like something Sloane had weaponized against me. 2 months passed. Sloane filed her lawsuit, elder financial abuse, emotional manipulation, breach of verbal contract. She was asking for the full $247,000 plus damages. The mediation was set for February 14th, Valentine's Day. The irony wasn't lost on me. I walked into the conference room with Patricia beside me. My heart hammered, my hands were ice cold. Sloane sat across the table with her lawyer, expensive suit, slicked back hair, predatory smile. Sloane wore black, conservative, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She looked younger, vulnerable, like a victim. She was good at this. Beckett sat beside her. He wouldn't look at me, wouldn't meet my eyes. That hurt more than anything else in this room. The mediator introduced herself, explained the process, asked Sloane's lawyer to present their case. He did, eloquently, painted me as a lonely widow who promised endless support, who offered money freely, who changed her mind out of spite after a minor family disagreement, who cut off her son and daughter-in-law in their time of need. It was a beautiful lie, perfectly constructed, almost believable. Then Patricia stood up. She presented our evidence. Every text message where Sloane demanded money, every credit card statement showing luxury purchases, every transfer I'd made after Sloane's requests. The BMW lease in my name, the townhouse down payment paperwork clearly labeled as a gift, no payback required. Then she pulled out Darla's bank statements. Ms. Thorne claims she needed financial help, that she was struggling, that the defendant's support was essential to their survival. Patricia slid the papers across the table. These are her actual bank statements. She has $129,000 in liquid assets. She was never struggling. She was never in need. She was simply taking advantage of a generous woman who trusted her. The mediator studied the documents. Her expression changed. Sloane's lawyer paled. Where did you get these? From Ms. Thorne's mother, who will testify under oath about her daughter's pattern of financial manipulation. Sloane's face went red, then white. She grabbed Beckett's arm. She's lying. Those aren't real. They're real, the mediator said quietly. Bank logos, account numbers, official stamps. Unless you're claiming forgery? Silence. The mediator turned to Sloane. Ms. Thorne, did you or did you not have over $100,000 in savings while accepting money from your mother-in-law? It's not that simple. It's a yes or no question. Yes, Sloane whispered. But I was saving for emergencies. While claiming emergency need from someone on a fixed income. The mediator made a note. I see, Patricia continued. We also have testimony from multiple witnesses regarding Ms. Thorne's behavior at the Christmas dinner in question. Her verbal abuse, her destruction of property, her pattern of disrespect toward the defendant. This isn't about a minor disagreement. This is about 3 years of financial and emotional abuse finally ending. The mediator looked at Beckett. Mr. Thorne, were you aware of your wife's actual financial situation? He shifted, uncomfortable. Sloane handles the money. That's not what I asked. No, I didn't know. His voice was barely audible. Did you know the total amount your mother had given you in 3 years? Not until recently. And when you learned the truth, what did you do? Beckett looked at his hands. I was angry at my mother. For setting boundaries? He didn't answer. The mediator closed her folder. I've seen enough. Ms. Thorne, your case has no merit. You accepted gifts freely given. You cannot now claim they were owed to you simply because the donor stopped giving. Additionally, your claims of elder abuse are contradicted by evidence showing you were the one engaging in exploitation. But, Sloane started, this mediation is concluded. I recommend you withdraw your lawsuit. If you proceed to court, I'll be required to submit my findings, which will not favor you. Sloane's lawyer leaned in, whispered something. She shook her head violently, whispered back. He nodded. We'd like to request a brief recess, he said. Denied. Make your decision now. Another whispered conversation, then, we withdraw the lawsuit. Noted. The mediator made a final notation. There is one more matter. Ms. Thorne, you've made threats regarding the defendant's access to her grandson. Given your pattern of manipulation, I'm recommending court-mandated visitation rights. You cannot use your child as a weapon against his grandmother. You can't. I can. And I am. You'll receive the formal paperwork within 2 weeks. This mediation is concluded. She stood, left. Patricia squeezed my shoulder. Across the table, Sloane was crying. Not sad tears, angry ones. She looked at me with pure hatred. This isn't over, she hissed. Yes, I said calmly. It is. Beckett finally looked at me. His eyes were red, haunted. He opened his mouth, closed it, shook his head. Then he stood, helped Sloane up, walked her out of the conference room. He didn't look back. 6 months later, Beckett filed for divorce. He called me on a Tuesday evening, asked if he could come over. I almost said no. Almost protected myself from more hurt, but he was still my son, even if he'd forgotten what that meant. He sat in my living room, in Harlan's old chair. He looked thin, tired, older than 35 should look. I'm sorry, he said. For everything, for not seeing, for not protecting you, for being weak. I didn't speak. Let him continue. The mediator's ruling woke me up. I went home and looked at everything. Our accounts, the credit card statements, the receipts, all the things Sloane said we couldn't afford. His voice broke. We could afford all of it. She just wanted you to pay instead. Why didn't you stop her? Because it was easier not to. Because I didn't want to fight. Because I told myself you were happy to help. That it meant you felt needed. He wiped his eyes. I was wrong. I was so wrong, and I let her abuse you. I stood by and watched and did nothing. Yes, you did. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know I see it now. All of it. What she is, what I let her do, what I became. What about Callum? I'm getting primary custody. Sloane's fighting it, but her own lawyer said she doesn't have a case. Not after the mediation. Not after her mother testified. He leaned forward. Mom. She has over $100,000 saved while telling me we were broke, while begging you for help. She was just hoarding money and spending yours. I know. How can someone do that? How can someone be that cruel? I thought about that. About Sloane's smile when she dropped the train set. About her easy lies. About how effortlessly she manipulated everyone around her. Some people don't see others as human. They see them as resources. Things to use up and discard. I met his eyes. And some people let them because standing up is hard. I'm standing up now. Good. But not for me. For yourself. For Callum. Being a good person shouldn't require an audience. He nodded, wiped his eyes again. Can I ask you something? Maybe. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I thought about that. About 3 years of silence. About him watching me break and doing nothing. About choosing his wife over basic human decency. I don't know, I said honestly. Ask me in a year? That's fair. He stood to leave, hesitated at the door. The train set. Do you still have the pieces? Yes. Can I try to fix it? For Callum, for you, for Dad? His voice just shook. Let me fix something. I brought him the box. All the pieces I'd saved. We spent 3 hours at my kitchen table. Sorting, cleaning, repairing. The train set wouldn't be perfect. Some parts were lost forever. But it could be functional, could roll again, could carry new memories, like us maybe. The divorce finalized in September. Sloane got nothing she wanted. Beckett got primary custody. She got every other weekend. The court made her get a job, a real job. No more luxury lifestyle funded by someone else's sacrifice. She blamed me, still does, sends me hateful emails I don't read, shows up at events and makes scenes I ignore. but she can't touch me anymore. Can't hurt me. Can't take what I won't give. I see Callum twice a week now, court mandated. He's 6 now, losing teeth and growing wild. He asks about the train set, about Grandpa Harlan, about what it was like when I was young. I tell him stories, real ones, about work and struggle and marriage and loss, about his grandfather who was good and kind and careful with money, about respect and boundaries and standing up for yourself even when it's hard. He listens with those serious eyes, absorbs everything. Reminds me of Beckett at that age. Maybe he'll be different. Maybe this generation will learn from our mistakes. The train set sits on his shelf in Beckett's apartment now, repaired, loved, a reminder that broken things can be mended if you are patient, if you care enough, if you're willing to do the work. Beckett and I have dinner once a month. It's awkward sometimes. We're rebuilding trust that was shattered. But we're trying. That counts for something. My savings are rebuilding too, slowly, carefully. I budget now. Say no to things I don't need. Save for emergencies that are actually emergencies. Live within my means instead of beyond them. I'm not rich, but I'm free, and freedom is worth more than any amount of money I gave away. Sometimes I think about that Christmas dinner, about the train set hitting the floor, about Sloane's cruel words, about everyone watching. It hurt. It still hurts, but it also saved me. Because that moment of public humiliation was the slap I needed, the wake-up call that said enough. That made me choose myself for the first time in 3 years. If you've ever been treated like you're invisible, called worthless, or had to fight for what's yours, you still have power. Your voice matters, your boundaries matter, you matter. To anyone rebuilding after betrayal, every setback is setting you up for something greater. Keep going, stand firm. Remember that being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. What lesson hit you hardest from this story? And if you were in my shoes, what would you have done differently? Would you have cut them off sooner or given more chances? Don't stop here. Click the next video on your screen right now and watch another story from our channel. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.